Rodney Alcala, also known as John Berger or John Burger, was an American serial killer and convicted sex offender who was sentenced to death in California for 5 murders committed between 1977 and 1979. He pleaded guilty and received a sentence of 20 years to life for 2 further murders committed in the New York state. He can't be stopped, bro. He was also indicted for 1 murder in Wyoming, although the charges filed there were dropped. Okay. Let him go, John Berger. While Alcala has been conclusively linked to 9 murders, the true number of victims remains unknown and could be as high as 130. Yo, that's a big gap. What the hell are you talking about? That's a big gap, bro. Alcala compiled a collection of more than 100,000 photographs of women. How does he even get that much film? Teenage girls and boys, many in sexually explicit poses. In 2016, he was charged with the 1977 murder of a woman identified in one of his photos. What? 1,000 photos? Alcala is known to have assaulted one other photo subject, and police have speculated the others could be R-word victims or murder victims as well. Yo, when the pool of potential, not candidates, potential victims, I mean, come on, bro. Something's got to be up. Prosecutors have said that Alcala toyed with his victims, strangling them until they lost consciousness, then waiting until they revived, sometimes repeating this process several times before finally killing them. What is up with this guy? One police detective described Alcala as a killing machine, the literal Terminator, and others have compared him to Ted Bundy. That's what he kind of seems like. If he's got that Prince Charming kind of vibe going on, just look at him. I mean, just from when I saw him, where is it? Right there? He kind of looks like Uncle Jesse, bro. The Huntington Beach Police got him. The HBP, bro. They literally got him. He is often referred to as the dating game killer, as he appeared as a contestant on the television show The Dating Game in 1978 during his murder spree.
I'm called the Banana, and I look really good.
His early life, Rodney Alcala was born on August 23rd, 1943 in San Antonio, Texas. The SAT, bro. The third of 4 children born to a Mexican-American couple, Raul Alcala Bacor. I don't know how you say that. People are going to be like, that's not how you say it. I don't know. And Ana Maria Gutierrez. Alcala's father moved the family to Mexico in 1951, then abandoned them 3 years later. Wah. In 1954, when he was aged 11, Alcala's mother moved him and his 2 sisters to suburban Los Angeles. The city that never sleeps, bro. Alcala was an academically gifted student who was reasonably popular amongst his peers and was supported by his family. Okay, yeah, you're right. He attended various private schools in the Los Angeles area during his youth and graduated from Cantwell Sacred Heart of Mary High School, where he was on the yearbook planning committee and on the track and cross county teams. Was there potentially another story that school was involved with? That name sounds familiar, like we read it in another true crime. In 1961, at the age of 17, Alcala joined the United States Army to become a paratrooper and serve as a clerk. Yes, sir. Clerk Kent. During his service, Alcala was noted for being manipulative, vindictive, and insubordinate, and he was disciplined on several occasions for assaulting young women. Get him out of here, bro. Piece of dog crap. In 1964, after what was described as a nervous breakdown, during which he went AWOL, oh my god, and hitchhiked from Fort Bragg in North Carolina to his mother's house in California, Alcala was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder and estimated to have an IQ of 135 by a military psychiatrist. He was subsequently discharged from the Army on medical grounds. Other diagnoses later proposed by various psychiatric experts at his trials included narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, and malignant narcissism with psychoapathy, and sexual sadism, and comorbidities. This guy's got it all, bro. What the hell? He's a walking problem. Holy crap. After being discharged from the Army, Alcala graduated from the UCLA School of the Arts and Architecture. It was later claimed that he studied film under Roman Polanski at New York University, but this is not true, and he never met Polanski during his time at NYU. So why even... that got my hopes up, bro. I was like, oh, this is gonna be juicy. I was talking about connections earlier and how these guys have random connections. That would have been fucking wild. The Shapiro assault. On September 25th, 1968, a passing motorist named Donald Haynes called police after witnessing Alcala lure Tali Shapiro, aged 8, into his Hollywood apartment. Shapiro, who was residing at the Chateau Marmont with her family, was approached by Alcala on her way to school when he pulled up beside her in his car and asked if she wanted a ride. Stranger danger, always. Get him out of here. Fucking run the other direction, bro. Shapiro initially refused, but when she heard him say that he knew her parents, she got into his car. Alcala then took her to his apartment, where he told Shapiro he wanted to show her a picture. When the police arrived, Shapiro was found alive in a pool of her own blood, having been R-worded and beaten with a steel bar. Alcala had fled. Shapiro was in a coma for 32 days and spent months in recovery. Holy crap, dude. Enough of this. Ugh. This is fucking awful, man.
Oh my god, we're talking about the Crilly murders. To evade the arrest warrants stemming from the Shapiro assault, Alcala left California and enrolled at NYU using the name John Berger.
Sounds like a wooden door. Harry, you're the chosen one, motherfucker.
But I'm just Harry.
I don't care, just Harry. You are a wizard.
But I'm just Harry.
Cornelia Crilly, a 23-year-old trans world athlete flight attendant, was found R-worded and murdered in her Manhattan apartment on June 12, 1971. That is
Fucked up. That is Ron Weasley.
Alcala had strangled her with her own nylon stockings, leaving her dead in her apartment at 427 East 83rd Street. It is believed that Crilly met Alcala as she moved into her new apartment, and she accepted his help with moving some furniture. Her murder remained unsolved until 2011. How does he get away with it for that long, dude? The identification, arrest, and conviction. Wanted by FBI, Rod James Alcala. Yo, that's crazy. They got his print. Is that what that is? It's either that or like his ass stain. What is that? In 1971, Alcala obtained a job at New Hampshire Arts Camp as a counselor for children using a slightly different alias, John Berger. The FBI added Alcala to its list of 10 most wanted fugitives in early 1971. A few months later, 2 campers at the arts camp noticed his photo on an FBI poster at the post office. That August, Alcala was arrested and extradited to California. By then, Tali Shapiro's parents had relocated their entire family to Mexico and refused to allow Shapiro to testify at the trial. Without their primary witness, prosecutors were unwilling to charge Alcala with R-word and attempted murder. He was instead convicted of child molestation, then a lesser charge, and sentenced to 3 years. Wow, they gave him a slap on the wrist in terms of what could have happened. Alcala was paroled in 1974 after 34 months. Wow, that's insane. Release and rearrest. Less than 2 months after his release, Alcala was rearrested and convicted for assaulting a 13-year-old girl identified in court records as Julie J., who had accepted what she thought would be a ride to school. Alcala was again paroled after serving 2 years and released in 1977 as a registered sex offender. They keep letting him out. The Hoover disappearance. After Alcala's second release in 1977, his Los Angeles parole officer made the unusual choice of permitting a repeat offender and known flight risk to travel to New York City. New York Police Department investigators now believe that a week after returning to Manhattan, Alcala killed Ellen Jane Hoover, 23-year-old daughter of nightclub owner Herman Hoover and goddaughter of Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. I don't know who either of those people are. I guess they're famous because they're in blue. Hoover was last seen at her New York apartment on July 15, 1977. Her date book showed that she had an appointment to meet with one John Berger that same day. Yo, you better run. Later in 1977, the FBI received a tip about Alcala's 1971 arrest in New Hampshire related to the Shapiro case in California. Alcala admitted under questioning to knowing Hoover, but investigators could not arrest him since they had not found her body. Her remains were discovered in 1978, buried under heavy rocks on a hillside overlooking the Hudson River, near a location on the John D. Rockefeller estate, where an aspiring model would later report that Berger had taken photos of her. Holy crap, dude. This is like a fucking Lifetime movie if I've ever heard one. They probably have made a Lifetime movie based on this. The name is so catching. The Dating Show Killer. Like, come on, that writes itself. The move to LA. Blinded by the light. Okay. In 1977, Alcala worked briefly at the Los Angeles Times as a typesetter and was interviewed by members of the Hillside Strangler task force as part of their investigation of known sex offenders. Oh my god, the Hillside Strangler. Sounds like a SpongeBob villain. Although Alcala was ruled out as the Strangler, this is crazy. This sounds like a The Office episode, the Scranton Strangler. He was arrested and served a brief sentence for marijuana possession. That's some bullshit. During this period, Alcala convinced hundreds of young men and women that he was a professional fashion photographer and took pictures of them for his portfolio. Portfolio, oh no. A Times co-worker later recalled that Alcala shared his photos with workmates. I thought it was weird, but I was young. I didn't know anything, she said. When I asked why he took the photos, he said their moms asked him to. What? I remember the girls were naked. What? Lyanne Leadham, who was 17 when Alcala photographed her in 1979, reported that he said he was a professional, so in my mind, I was being a model for him. No! Leadham further reported that the portfolio Alcala shared was with her also included spread after spread of naked teenage boys. Yo, this is crazy. This is crazy. He is the Strangler, just not the one they're looking for. His dating game appearance. EA, get your head in it. In 1978, in the midst of his killing spree, Alcala was a contestant on the popular game show The Dating Game. Host Jim Lang introduced him as a successful photographer. Between takes, you might find him skydiving or motorcycling. Jed Mills, a fellow Bachelor contestant on the episode, later described Alcala as a very strange guy with bizarre opinions. Do tell. Alcala won the competition and a date with the episode's bachelorette, Cheryl Bradshaw, who subsequently refused to go out with him because she found him creepy. Oh my god! Yo, she got the ick from bro. What was he doing? What are his weird opinions and stuff? What the hell? You can't leave all this out. He's sitting around set talking about like the Illuminati and shit. Maybe he's in it. California crime spree. No, who's this? No, Jill Terry. Barcombe. No, that's so sad, man. On November 9th, 1977, Alcala murdered Jill Terry Barcombe, an 18-year-old girl from Expedia? I don't know. New York. We'll just say the big NY. And disposed of her body on a dirt path near Mulholland Drive in Los Angeles. Barcombe was found in a knee to chest position and naked from the waist down. Come on, no. There were signs of sexual assault. And then she had been strangled with a pair of blue rope ties and beaten. She also had 3 bite marks on her right breast. Initially, authorities believed Barcombe was a victim of the Hillside Strangler. However, after the arrests of Kenneth Bianchi and Angelo Bueno, neither of them confessed to or were victims. Wait, what? What? However, after the arrests of Kenneth Bianchi and Angelo Bueno, neither of whom confessed to or were convicted of her murder, authorities determined that her case was unrelated. Yeah, it's unrelated. You got the burglar going after you, bro. On December 16th, 1977, 27-year-old nurse Georgia Mary Wickstead was discovered dead in her Malibu apartment. She was last seen when she drove another nurse, Barbara Gale, home from a bar. When Wickstead did not show up for work the next day, Gale and their co-workers reported her missing. Police arrived at the Wickstead apartment to find signs of forced entry. Wickstead was posed naked on her bedroom floor, strangled with her nylons. She had been sexually assaulted. Her skull had been bashed in and her genitals had been mutilated. Dude, this is awful, man. Prosecutors later used DNA evidence and a handprint found at the scene to convict Alcala. Yeah, thank God for that. Jesus, dude. Those are brutal. This one's pretty bad too. Yeah, this is like Ted Bundy kind of vibe in that same realm. I still think the most brutal and gruesome one in my memory that scarred me the most, I think, was the Toolbox Killers, because I don't know. That one's just so horrifying. They're all horrifying. Jeffrey Dahmer is putting acid in their head, but I don't know, something about the toolbox killers is so... It's evil on a different level, you know? Like, it's all evil, and there's varying degrees to the evil. On June 24th, 1978, Charlotte Lee Lamb, a 32-year-old legal secretary from Santa Monica, was found dead in the laundry room of the apartment complex where she was living in El Segundo. She had been really assaulted, beaten, and strangled with a shoelace, and was posed with her hands behind her back. What kind of shoelaces? They gotta be talking bootlaces. Cause shoelaces are kind of janky now. A little bit, no? You don't think so? Thinking about like Air Force One shoelaces? No, I don't know. Those probably could mangle you if someone tried hard enough. DNA at the scene would match that of Alcala, and DNA on a pair of earrings found in his storage locker after robbing Christine Samso's 1979 murder would eventually prove to match Lamb's DNA. Oh, man. Raul! On February 14th, 1979, Alcala picked up 15-year-old hitchhiker Monique Hoyt in Riverside County. He drove Hoyt to his apartment, where he R-worded her. They then traveled to a secluded mountainous area in Joshua Tree, California, where Alcala took photos of her in her underwear, as well as photos of him R-wording her once again. He bound and gagged her and began a sustained assault, which included further R-word and sodomy. Alcala bludgeoned Hoyt in the head with a rock, but Hoyt escaped when Alcala entered a gas station bathroom on the drive back to Riverside County. Hoyt filed a police report about her attack, and Alcala was arrested, but his mother posted his bail. Why are you gonna give him bail to this guy? What are we doing, man? On June 13th, 1979, that was crazy, bro. I'm still thinking about that last one. Oh, man. I try to just, like, move on from it, but this is getting in the level of toolbox killer territory. Something about this one seems it more so than Ted Bundy, but Ted Bundy was a fucking animal, too. I guess that's why they made the movie on him, because he was somehow Prince Charming to people. I don't know who's making up that lie, but I guess someone out there does. On June 13th, 1979, Jill Marie Parentuya. Yo, people get mad when I mispronounce the names, bro. I'm just reading it first time. You want me to sit there for 40 minutes and Mary Parentia? Like, I don't fucking know. A 21-year-old computer key punch operator left work early to go to a baseball game. Go Mets. When she did not make it to work the following morning, police went to her Burbank apartment and found signs of forced entry. He's forcing all the entry. Parentow was dead, naked on her bathroom floor. She was posed with pillows under her shoulders. She had been assaulted, beaten, and strangled. Her killer cut himself crawling through a window, and blood evidence would later identify Alcala as the perpetrator. Yo, go get his ass, bro. What are we doing, man? Parentow's friends, rather. Catherine Bryant testified that she and Parentow had met Alcala at a club several times before. He's out there getting groovy with it. Who is this? Who was that? 1979 police sketch that led to Alcala's apprehension. Oh my god, yo, he's ugly in this picture, dude. He kind of looks like... I don't even know, dude. He kind of looks like he was a part of Rush, the band. No disrespect to Rush. Everyone freaks out. No. So we got this and that. That's not a bad start. That's not a bad start. They didn't get his little like mustache he's got going on, and the nose. The nose is a little weird. It looks like an alien nose in the photo. On June 20th, 1979, Robin Christine Samsu, a 12-year-old girl from Huntington Beach, disappeared as she rode a borrowed bicycle from her Huntington Beach home to her ballet class. Her decomposing body was found 12 days later on the Los Angeles foothills, dumped off Santa Anita Canyon Road. That's awful, especially if like any of you guys are from there and you know this area. Something about that is so... it's not good for your energy, being anywhere near that. There's no way. She had been beaten, R-worded, and stabbed with a knife. Samsu's friend told police that a stranger had approached them on a beach asking to take their pictures. Detectives circulated a sketch of the photographer, and Alcala's parole officer recognized him. Yo, there you go, dude. The fact that he was even out in the first place running around, like, what the hell are we doing, man? The arrest, trials, and conviction. We're gonna get him, bro. Alcala was arrested in July 1979 and held without bail. He went on trial for Samsu's murder, who was found guilty in May 1980 and sentenced to death in June. Yo, they really doing him in. However, the verdict was overturned by the California Supreme Court in 1984 because jurors had been improperly informed of his prior sex crimes. Isn't that just like what we in the business call a major fumble? Like, too bad if isn't it their responsibility if they fail to disclose that? You gotta do it all over again? In May 1986, after a second trial virtually identical to the first, except for omission of the prior criminal record testimony, he was again convicted and sentenced to death in August. Okay, at least they did. At least they did it again. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Oh yeah, we didn't notify you about all the evil shit he did before, so because of that, now we gotta redo it all again. How does it make any sense, bro? That should like add on to the thing. That doesn't fucking, I guess, yeah, on paper they're gonna say, oh, it sways them though that they didn't know that. But it's like, bro, we're talking about this case. Did he or did he not? Was he killing young girls, doing atrocious things to them, and then throwing them off cliffs in Los Angeles? I mean, that doesn't really take away from that, does it now? In 1992, the California court upheld the verdict, but Alcala filed a federal habeas corpus petition, and in 2001, a United States District Court judge granted it, overturning Alcala's second conviction. That decision was upheld in 2003 by a Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals panel, in part because a witness was not allowed to support Alcala's contention that the park ranger who found Samsu's body had been hypnotized by police investigators. What the hell are we talking about right now? While preparing for their third prosecution, we're doing this again? Dude, these people are so corrupt to the core, it's fucking insane. It's not even like corrupt, it's just straight demon shit. It's so insane. While preparing for their third prosecution in 2003, Orange County investigators learned that Alcala's DNA, sampled under a new state law over his objections, matched semen left at the R-word murder scenes of two women in Los Angeles. Additionally, evidence including another cold case DNA matched in 2004 led to Alcala's indictment for the murders of 4 additional women. Jill Barcombe, 18, a New York runaway found rolled up like a ball in a Los Angeles ravine in 1977, and originally thought to have been the victim of the Hillside Strangler. Yeah, no. I mean, maybe he was the strangler, we'll never know. Georgia Wickstead, 27, bludgeoned in her Malibu apartment in 1977. Charlotte Lamb, R-worded, strangled, and left in a laundry room in El Segundo apartment complex in 1978. And Jill Parentow, 21, killed in her Burbank apartment in 1979. All the bodies were found posed in carefully chosen positions. Another pair of earrings found in Alcala's Seattle storage locker had residue that matched Lamb's DNA. During his incarceration between the second and third trials, Alcala wrote and self-published a book, You, the Jury, in which he claimed innocence in the Samso case and suggested a different suspect. This guy, this is crazy, bro. He's trying to capitalize on this. He's like, yo, I'm innocent, dude. You know, I never truly looked into the OJ case. Like, I just know the kind of gist of it is that everyone's like, bro, he apparently, this is what I just like kind of hear about it, is he blatantly killed whoever it was, his wife or something like that. I don't even know that much. And then the glove. That's all I know about this case. We should probably look into the OJ case, He also filed 2 lawsuits against the California penal system for a slip and fall incident and for refusing to provide him a low-fat diet. Yo, he is diva. He is A1 diva. This is crazy, bro. He commits all these atrocities and he's running around. He thinks he's the Joker, but this guy's like worse than the Joker, because like the Joker at least don't, like, the iterations I've seen, the Joker doesn't like R-word. You know, that's like, I want my low-fat diet. Yeah, you'll get it, buddy, when they stick that needle in your neck. In 2003, prosecutors entered a motion to join the Samso charges with those of the 4 newly discovered victims. You'll hit him with a 5-time scope, dude. Alcala's attorneys contested it. As one of them explained, if you're a juror and you hear one murder case, you may be able to have reasonable doubt, but it's very hard for you to say you have reasonable doubt on all 5, especially when 4 of the 5 aren't alleged by eyewitnesses, but are proven by DNA matches. In 2006, the California Supreme Court ruled in the prosecution's favor, and in February 2010, Alcala stood trial on the 5 joined charges. For the 3rd trial, Alcala elected to act as his own attorney. Saul Goodman has entered the chat, apparently. He took the stand in his own defense, and for 5 hours played the roles of both interrogator and witness, asking himself questions and addressing himself as Mr. Alcala in a deeper than normal voice, followed by answering them. Is this documented? We have to fucking see clips of this. Are you kidding me? This is such skit shit. He's literally doing Jeff Dunham IRL. During this self-questioning and answering session, he told jurors, often in a rambling monotone, that he was at Knott's Berry Farm, applying for a job as a photographer at the time Samsel was kidnapped. Why is he lying about this one, though? If he just some game plan in his mind, thinks he's gonna get away with it, if he can just convince them that he didn't do this one, or get off easier? Like, what is he sticking to the story? He showed the jury a portion of his 1978 appearance on The Dating Game in an attempt to prove that the earrings found in his Seattle locker were his, not Samsu's. Jed Mills, the actor who competed against Alcala on the show, told a reporter that earrings were not yet a socially acceptable encounterment for men in 1978. I had never seen a man with an earring in his ear, he said. I would have noticed them on him. You would have noticed, bro. Come on now. Dude, he's lying about such easy, provable shit. What's this guy doing? Mental case, bro. Alcala made no significant attempt to dispute the 4 added charges, other than to assert that he could not remember killing any of the women. Oh, that's deja vu. How many of these guys are we gonna read with it? Just like, it wasn't me, basically. As part of his closing argument, he played the Arlo Guthrie song, Alice's Restaurant, in which the protagonist tells a psychiatrist that he wants to kill. After less than 2 days, the jury convicted him on all 5 counts of first-degree murder. A surprise witness during the penalty phase of the trial was Shapiro. Richard Rappaport, a psychiatrist paid by Alcala and the only defense witness, testified that borderline personality disorder could explain Alcala's claims that he had no memory of committing the murders. What murder? Stupid, dude. The prosecutor argued that Alcala was a sexual predator because he knew that what he was doing was wrong and didn't care. Yeah, no shit, huh? In March 2010, Alcala was sentenced to death for a 3rd time. Yo, he's about to get a UAV. This is crazy. 3 times of this crap. Just fucking wasting all this tax money, all everyone's time. What the hell are we doing, bro? After his 2010 conviction, New York authorities announced that they would no longer pursue Alcala because of his status as a convicted awaiting execution. Nevertheless, in January 2011, a Manhattan grand jury indicted him for the murders of Crilly and Hover in 1971 and 1977. In June 2012, he was extradited to New York, where he initially entered not guilty pleas on both counts. In December of 2012, he changed both pleas to guilty, citing a desire to return to California to pursue appeals of his death penalty conviction. They are putting up a fight. This is insane. On January 7, 2013, a Manhattan judge sentenced Alcala to an additional 25 years to life. The death penalty has not been an option in New York State since 2007. Wow. This case is crazy, dude. How have I never heard of this? They put up a fight. Talk about ain't going down without a fight. There's a little fly. The hell out of additional victims, unidentified. I mean, he just kept going. Unidentified photographs. In March 2010, the Huntington Beach, California, and New York City police departments released 120 of Alcala's photographs and sought the public help in identifying them in the hope of determining if any of the women and children photographed were additional victims. Approximately 900 photos could not be made public. That's what the police said. Because they were too sexually explicit. In the first few weeks, police reported that approximately 21 women had come forward to identify themselves, and at least 6 families said that they believed they recognized loved ones who disappeared years ago and were never found. Well, we got a strong possibility of connecting the two now. None of the photos were unequivocally connected to a missing persons case or the unsolved murder until 2013. 110 of the original photos remained posted online, and police continued to solicit the public's help with further identifications. Most of the subjects remain unidentified. Police fear that some of the subjects may be additional cold case victims. Wow, 120 of them on the side. Yo, come on, I mean, it depends what area they were found, what area they're being reported from and everything, but it's like, if they're even somewhat within a some mile radius of where he's operating out of, I don't know, you got kind of a strong possibility he's connected to that. Wow. Morgan Rowan. Following Alcala's death in 2021, 68-year-old Morgan Rowan contacted Steve Hoddle, one of the original investigators on the Shapiro case, and described being attacked by Alcala in July of 1968, when she was 16. Rowan claimed that while she was living in Hollywood, she was approached by Alcala at a teen nightclub on the Sunset Strip and entered his car, believing he would be driving to an IHOP restaurant, not with the false promise of IHOP before you brutally do this murder. Because I love IHOP. I wouldn't go with this guy by any means. But to promise IHOP in your last moments is so disgusting on a different level. Instead, Alcala drove to his apartment a few blocks away, where he said he was having a party. You roll up, none of the lights are on. What kind of party's going on in there? When they arrived, Alcala dragged Rowan into his bedroom, barred the door, and then beat up and R-worded her. Rowan was rescued by friends and acquaintances who broke into the home through a window. Alcala fled, and Rowan was pulled from the apartment by her friends. What? How did they know? How did they know to check the apartment, though? Oh, man. Yo, those friends. Those are real friends. Are you kidding me? Pamela Lamson. In March 2011, investigators in Marin County, California, north of San Francisco, announced that they were confident that Alcala was responsible for the October 9th, 1977, murder of 19-year-old Pamela Jean Lamson, who disappeared after making a trip to Fisherman's Wharf to meet a man who had offered to photograph her. Her battered, naked body was subsequently found in Marin County near a hiking trail. With no fingerprints or usable DNA, charges were never filed, but police claimed that there was sufficient evidence to convince them that Alcala committed the crime. It's most likely, man. I mean, you got one guy, but then they're talking about the Hillside Strangler. Whoever that was again, remember that? Because they were like, oh, the Alcala might be or take responsibility for one of the crimes of the Hillside Strangler. And yet again, California, LA, a lot of this stuff came out of that area. It's not saying all of it, everyone freaks out, but just out of the ones we read, the most famous ones, they're all coming out of that general area of the country, especially California, just knowing that the MK Ultra stuff is going on. And if they were willing to hide that with the ease, basically, because you ask the average person, they probably still don't know what that's about. Christine Thornton here's a who. In September 2016, Alcala was charged with the murder of 28-year-old Christine Ruth Thornton. Thornton, dude, this is such a great name, Thornton. I might name my dog that when I get a dog. And her lover moved away from her family to live in San Antonio, Texas. The big SA, bro. The SAT. After they split up in Biloxi, Mississippi in June of 1977, she was last seen hitchhiking and was never heard from again. In 2013, an image made public by Huntington Beach PD and NYPD of a dark-haired woman riding a motorcycle while wearing a yellow shirt was recognized by Thornton's sister. Her body was found in 1982 near Granger, Wyoming, approximately 6 miles from Interstate 80, but was not identified until 2015 when DNA supplied by Thornton's relatives matched tissue samples from her remains. And Wyoming, too. Wasn't Jeffrey Dahmer from Wyoming and a couple other ones in Wyoming? Why that area of the country? That's like, If it was a couple, you'd be like, whatever. But time after time, when they're coming out of the same place, that's a huge cause for concern. Like, that's not. And I also think about, because hitchhiking was so normalized back then, and trust in people, a lot of people didn't lock their doors in their neighborhoods and everything. It's like it made it easier in some sick cases for some of these maniacs, because it was normal to just trust someone, and they take advantage of that. That's not even the right word. Demons. Alcala admitted taking the photo, but not to killing the woman. Okay, so then you just happen to be there and you take the photo, but you weren't there. You didn't do it, even though we have cases of you doing it fucking 27 times already. Yeah, but you didn't do it. Like an idiot, bro. Feed this guy not even I was gonna say only mashed potatoes for the rest of his life, because I feel like after a while you would probably lose your mind eating mashed potatoes every day. People say they can do it. No, I don't think you can. At the time of her death, she was approximately 6 months pregnant. Thornton is the first alleged murder victim linked to the Alcala photos made public in 2010. The 73-year-old Alcala was reported too ill to make the journey from California to Wyoming to stand trial on the new charges. Ill from what, though? Like, what happened to him? Only mashed potato diet, your skin becomes like gray. I don't even know. In 2010, Seattle police named Alcala as a person of interest in several unsolved murders in Washington state, since Alcala had rented a Seattle area storage locker in which investigators later found jewelry belonging to two of his California victims in 1978. Other cold cases were reportedly targeted for reinvestigation in California, New York, New Hampshire, and Arizona. Cherry Ann Greenman, 20, was last seen in Waterville, Washington on September 14, 1976, after she was released from Douglas County Jail. A photograph found in Alcala's locker was shown to Greenman's family, and they confirmed it was not her. Washington, there you go again. It's Washington, Wyoming, California. Wait, was not Gacy? What was his name, dude? You get them all mixed up after a certain point. The axe murderer, the butcher, the one. Antoinette Jean Whitaker, 13, was a student who had been living in a foster home when she walked out with an unidentified man on the night of July 9th, 1977. A week later, her body was found, fully clothed and propped up on her hands and knees in a vacant lot in Lake City, Seattle. Seattle, too. It's all that area. She had been stabbed to death. There was no evidence that she had been sexually assaulted. On February 17th, 1978, Joyce Francine Gaunt, 17, was found at the picnic area at Seward Park, Seattle. She was nude and lying on her face. Her skull had been crushed. The developmentally disabled teen had also been beaten, strangled, and sexually assaulted. She had been living in a group home on Capitol Hill when she was last seen leaving to meet with an unidentified man on February 16. No one got a look at the guy. No one got even the slightest look, because if we could just identify his hair, then you could be like, all right, at least now, most likely. While on California's death row, Alcala died of a heart attack at a hospital in Kings County on July 24th, 2021, at age 77. He made it far, though. 77? Yeah, so this just goes on to say, of course, how the media and everyone's jumping on it. The dating game killer, making products, books, movies, documentaries, because it is, dude. The story is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. The dating game killer. It has such a ring to it that, of course, I'm surprised this case isn't bigger. Or maybe it is, but it's something about like the Ted Bundy one seems more mainstream. I feel more people know about that, but I feel like this one has more, I don't know, something about this just has that mystique that, I don't know, this one I remember more than the Ted Bundy one now. Yeah, bro, we gotta investigate, because I've heard all sorts of theories about lots of things, but about why it seems that a lot of these demons come out of that part of the country. Yet again, not all parts of it, but a lot of the core ones, man, come out of that area. So whether that's connected to, like, yet again, MK Ultra stuff, but there's some lady who is trying to make the claim about certain, and she's talking about something about the lead content in the air, or just like how polluted the air is in some of those areas may have something to do with it. I got no clue. This is something I heard from the grapevine over there, you know? That'd be interesting to look up though. Like why? Because she has a whole book on it, so she has her reasons for what, or evidence, whatever. If you guys have been enjoying any of the content lately, you can support the channel over on Patreon. We got some exclusive Reddit horror stories up over there too, and just supports the channel. And you get access to all the content. There's like over 50 something Patreon exclusives. You get all the full length reactions, all that linked in the description. Hit the like button, subscribe, comment. Let me know some other stuff to check out. And that's it. Appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one.